Happy Peeps, healthy chat. It's Peeps Chat. Assalamualaikum, good evening, and happy Diwali to those celebrating. I'm Nikki, and welcome to the second episode of this season's Peeps Chat show. As you can see, I'm alone and partnerless. Arisha, aka my co-host, can't make it due to personal reasons. So everyone tonight watching this episode have to put up with me and only me just for tonight's episode. Okay, guys? So yeah. For the second episode of Peeps Chat, our topic will be Is Recycling Worth It? Where we have two special guests from IIUM Eco Club joining us to discuss whether or not, recycling is really worth it or not. So, without any more delay, why don't we welcome our guests for tonight's episode? Firstly, we have Sister Amira. Hi, Amira. How are you doing? I'm good, Alhamdulillah. You look so good tonight. You look so cute. Thank you. All right, so our guest, as you can see, our second guest looks so handsome, and his name is actually Brother Ikram, but we're gonna refer to him as Muya for tonight. So, hi, Muya. How are you doing? Have you had your dinner yet? Alhamdulillah. What did you have for your dinner? If you don't mind me asking. Chicken chicken is good usually. It tastes good. So I hope that dinner tasted good for you. So if you don't mind, can you please introduce yourselves for the audience out there? What if we start with Sister Amira first? Can you introduce yourself because ladies first? Wow, first year and 19. You're so young. I feel so old. All right. So, now how about Muya? Can you please introduce yourself? It's so good to meet you guys too. Okay, so before we start the interview, I just want to remind the viewers out there that if you have any questions for tonight's guests, feel free to type it out in the comment section. And if we have enough time, inshallah, we'll have both Amira and also Muya to answer your questions if that is okay with you guys. All right, so without any further ado, why don't we dive into our first question, shall we? Okay, this first question is going to be directed to Amira Dullah because again, ladies first. Okay, so when people talk about recycling, most of the time the idea that come across our minds are recycling plastic, old tires, old newspapers, and tins. Can you please like share with us what else can we recycle other than those things? No. Mhm. True. Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
What I read, actually, one person can bring two maximums of bag of clothes per day. And the best part is that you can get 50% voucher of every bag of clothes you send to them. 50% discount of voucher. You need to note it down. That is important part. Apart from H&M, you can actually send your clothes to the IPC shopping center located in Petaling Jaya. I never been there, but if someone here from Petaling Jaya, you can actually donate your clothes there. Not only clothes, they also accept variety of waste, for example, paper, aluminium, tins, and you will gain money for every kilos of waste you send to them. And besides, you can Google cloth.com, Kloth. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Clothes.com. You can Google clothes.com and find the nearest recycling box to donate your clothes. So I hope that everyone is aware of that. And the reasons why I choose to share about clothes is because I believe in every single household we have an issue to deal with these all unused clothes. So hopefully when more people are aware of these and start to recycle their clothes, inshallah we can reduce the gas emissions coming from the process of making new clothes. I think that's all for me.
Wow, that is very insightful. I never knew that recycling clothes was a thing. And about the 50% off in H&M, very interesting. I should recycle my clothes more.
They
Mama, we're
should take
going
you as the
shopping
ambassador.
tomorrow. I'm definitely gonna go to H&M tomorrow with my mother. So yeah, I'm gonna tell her that after the show. All right, so let's move on to the next question, which is going to be directed to Muya. So Muya, does bundle stuff can be considered as recycled items? And why do you say so?
All right. So, thank you. I hope I'm audible on my side. So, I think
Yes.
firstly, let's look at the question. We can definitely break it into a few parts. So, the
Mm-hmm.
first part is bundled clothes. I think it
Mm-hmm.
can be also translated to thrifted clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And then, can it be recycled? And why do you say so? It's just an information to my answer. So, let's look at the definition of recycling itself. So, recycling, as we all know, ataupun by definition, by the intellectual definition, is the process of getting discarded materials, waste materials, and producing and refining it and to produce new items. For example, the biggest example that we often do is we recycle paper to produce new paper. So that's the biggest one-to-one example that we can do today. But when we talk about thrifted clothes, it doesn't fit the context. It's not a waste product per se. It's only something that is donated or something that is handed on towards people, especially those in developing and poorer countries. And that's number one. And then number two, it isn't developed into a new product. It stays the same, and it's utilized to the new end user in the same way itself. So it can't fit into the recycling narrative or definition. But I think it's important for us to highlight today that recycling is commonly used as an umbrella term. What does it mean what does it mean umbrella term? Recycling al- uh, it's often used as an umbrella term for a lot of different practices. For example, recycling is commonly referred ataupun commonly associated with the 3R practice. So when we talk about recycling, it's commonly associated with 3R. So that means you're either reusing, reducing, or recycling. So I think while thrifted clothes they can't fit the bill of the definition of recycling, it definitely goes into context with 3R, and it definitely goes a long way into the environmental sustainability process that we all are advocating to get today. So
Wow.
lastly, yeah, I'll just like to end on a note that they can be considered as recycled items. So yeah.
All right. So, apa bundled stuff are not actually considered as recycled items. Okay, everyone out there, please take note about that. All right. So, next question is for Amira pula. Recycling is one of the acts that that I personally believe, like it's a good thing to recycle. So, Amira, can you please tell us the importance and also the benefits of recycling?
Okay, I think for us to understand why recycling is important is by analyzing the consequences of what is going to happen if we choose not to recycle. So if you don't recycle, your waste will end up in landfills. And there are actually few methods used in landfill to dispose the waste. One of them is combustion, which is the act of burning the waste. And when we're talking about burning something, of course, it produces carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide is a part of greenhouse gases, and greenhouse gases contribute to climate change. And of course, climate change is obviously on another topic, endangering the life of millions of people on this planet. So that is number one, what's going to happen if you choose not to recycle. Besides, combustion or open burning will also pollute the air and affect the health of the workers that live around the landfills. And we don't want it to happen because I believe that everyone has the right to breathe clean air, and air pollution could contribute to many other respiratory diseases such as asthma, lung cancer, and so on. So that is first method that is used there in landfills. Second method is they bury the waste into the land, and this will affect the soil and water quality. I don't want my water supply to be affected, and I'm sure you don't want this to be happen to you either. And apart from that, there are also some irresponsible organizations that choose to dump their waste into rivers and oceans, putting the life of millions of aquatic animals in the risk. So right now, at this moment, the numbers of plastic in our oceans is already outnumbers the stars in Milky Way. There are too many plastic in the oceans that exceed the numbers of stars in our universe. So by recycling, it will bring a big impact to the planet. The gas emission will be reduced. There's no more air pollution or water contamination. Our aquatic animal will be safe, and our oceans will be safe, and planet as well. And I think in that recycling could actually help to save natural resources. For example, if you recycle your paper, it could help to save thousands of trees from being cut down. And when we have more trees, they will absorb more carbon dioxide, and it could help to reduce global warming so that our earth will be less hotter. We don't want a hotter earth. We want a hotter boyfriend could be fine, but hotter earth, no. Okay, so above
True.
all, recycling is important because it brings significant environmental impact to the planet.
Mm. Oh my God. The recycling facts are very alarming actually. I might as well start, recycling even more. Because I feel like I don't recycle enough considering that the facts that you mentioned just now. Phew. I think the viewers out there should start recycle more too. But you know
Yes.
what? Before we ask any more questions, why don't we take a break and also take a breather, and we'll be back with both Amira and also Muya to further discuss the topic: Is recycling worth it? Only on Peeps Chat by IIM TV. We'll be back.
You have one unheard message.
Hai Lily, um, aku just nak tanya, kau okay? Sebab aku perasan kau dah banyak kali tak masuk kelas. Kau pun tak angkat bila aku call. Bila aku message, kau tak jawab. So kau free tak? Jom binge watching K-drama nak? Cerita Vincenzo. Kau kan suka Song Joong Ki tu. Lepas tu kita boleh sembang-sembang sambil minum kopi. Tapi kalau kau busy tak apa, aku faham. Lily, aku nak kau tahu yang aku selalu ada dengan kau. Kau lah kawan dunia akhirat yang paling aku sayang. Anyway, nanti kalau nak tengok drama tu, bagi tahu kat aku, okay?
You have one unheard message.
Hai Lily, aku just nak tanya, kau okay? Sebab aku perasan kau dah banyak kali tak masuk kelas. Kau pun tak angkat bila aku call. Bila aku message, kau tak jawab. So kau free tak? Jom binge watching K-drama nak? Cerita Vincenzo. Kau kan suka Song Joong Ki tu. Lepas tu kita boleh sembang-sembang sambil minum kopi. Tapi kalau kau busy tak apa, aku faham. Lily, aku nak kau tahu yang aku selalu ada dengan kau. Kau lah kawan dunia akhirat yang paling aku sayang. Anyway, nanti kalau nak tengok drama tu, bagi tahu lah kat aku, okay?
Happy Peeps, Healthy Chat. Welcome back to Peeps Chat, everyone, where we have two special guests from IIUM Eco Club to discuss the topic, is recycling worth it? So let's welcome back Amira and also Muya.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, so well, we'll just go straight to the question. Okay, my next question is going to be for Amira. So when it comes to recycling, people usually use the term 3R. What, like, can you actually define the meaning of 3R, and does it only focus on recycling?
Okay. Actually, there are 5 R, which is refuse, reduce, reuse, repurpose, and then recycling, number 5. So we're going one by one. First of all, we have refuse, which is you have to say no to items that can harm the environment. Let's take, for example, plastic. Try to restrain yourself from using plastic. Avoid any kind of plastic. That is refuse, to say no. And second step, we have reduce, which is to minimize the amounts of waste. We have to reduce the usage of plastic. How to reduce the usage of plastic? Maybe you can use your own shopping bag when you're going shopping, so you don't have to use the plastic bag provided by the mall. So try your best to minimize the amount of plastic as possible. That is the second step, which is reduce. And then third step, reuse. You use the same items more than one. For example, if you are in position where you need to use plastic, please reuse the plastic bag over and over again. Don't straight away throw it, or don't simply think that, oh, because I'm using plastic right now, what I have to do next is put this plastic into recyclable bin. No, reuse this first. And if you don't want to reuse this first, you have to repurpose it, which is the step number 4, repurpose. Repurpose is kind of like DIY thing where you transform all items into something new, like from plastic bottle into flower pots, from meter potato container into piggy banks, all these kind of things that you did when you were in kindergarten, that is repurpose. And then the last one, we have recycle, which is the process of converting waste materials into new materials. And it should be our last option. We should do the 4R first, which is to refuse, reduce, reuse, repurpose, and then recycle. Um, imagine if everyone in this planet follow the steps properly. All of us choose to say no to plastic first. All of us choose to refuse the plastic first. The numbers of the plastic will be dropped. And maybe we don't even have to deal with the issues of plastic anymore. We have been fighting with plastic, I think, for hundreds of years. And there's no sign that our fighting will be ending soon, because the problem right now, all of us choose to recycle first, not to refuse first. And all the companies trying to trick and greenwashing us, saying that their product is environmental friendly, recyclable, when in fact it is not. So I would say that recycling is great, but it is not the best tool. And always remember to refuse, reduce, reuse, repurpose, and then we have recycle as our last option. Don't put recycling as your priority.
All right. Well, I didn't know there were actually 5 R's. I only grew up with 3 R's, so there were additional 2 R's that most of us, I think, don't know. So, well, at least we learned something new. Thank you for that answer, Amira. All right, so the next question is, all of us are aware that excessive use of plastic can contribute to pollution and also global warming. And in your opinion, Muya, do you think paper is a good replacement for plastic?
All right, thank you for the question. So I believe, yeah, while it's common knowledge that plastic contributes to pollution, I think we see this almost every day. It's
Mhm.
commonly in the form of waste in our streets, in our seas, and even in our body itself. But let's look at the second term. How does it affect global warming, or how does it affect climate change? So it affects climate change in various ways. But first, I just like to focus on waste first. So yeah, the biggest issue on plastic is really the issue of waste. So waste then contributes to various forms of pollution. Like Amira said before, there's land pollution, water pollution. This is because when plastic decomposes, which takes a long time, it releases a lot of microplastics on top of several gases itself, among them which are methane and carbon dioxide, which also contributes to global warming itself. So let's look at climate change on the second end. So for climate change, how does plastic actually affects global warming or climate change? It's simply from the fact that plastics are made of petroleum. According to statistics, this is from a study by the UN in terms of determining how many percentage of the global petroleum supply which are used to manufacture plastics. The stringent number is 4%, but there's a variable, and then it expands from 4% until 8%, which is the most generous estimation. So let's look at how plastic is actually better than paper in certain ways. I think in most ways. So I'll just while I can't share my screen, I'll just share certain facts and numbers. Let's look at the first common plastic problem that we all have, which are plastic bags. So for plastic bags, which are the common enemy of the everyday environmentalists, and then they would say, okay, paper bag is the greener alternative, but the facts and statistics actually differ from the statement. Let's look at at a study by the United Kingdom Environmental Agency. This is published in 2011. So according to that agency, a plastic bag is the most environmentally friendly bag available in the market right now. So when we compare it to paper bags, you have to use a paper bag 3 times just to match a pollution and energy consumption of one plastic bag. And this isn't even taking into consideration that the plastic bag is reused again. So if it takes a paper bag 3 times to be reused have the same amount of pollution of one plastic bag, that means a plastic bag is 3 times more environmental friendly than a paper bag. And do note that paper bags are actually less durable than plastics. So when you use it one time, especially going to groceries, it will get wet and it will deteriorate. So it isn't as durable. So there's no point using it more than once. So I think that's an important consideration. Let's look at different bags as well. So there's the non-woven bag. Non-woven bag means the plastic bag, but it's non-woven, so that it needs to be used 11 times. And the greenest alternative is actually the tote bag that people say right now. But according to statistics, you have to use a cotton bag or a tote bag 131 times just to match the usage of one plastic bag. So I think that's a very important fact that we have to put in mind. So at the end of the day, while I have several other statistics, but I think we're short on time. At the end of the day, what's important to consider is, regardless of the material, like Amira said before, it's important to first refuse. But what I always emphasize is just use what you have at home. So if you have a tote bag, you know that you have to use it like 131 times just to match a plastic bag. You better ensure that you can match that number. And the list goes on. Same with paper bag and also the non-woven plastic bags. So yes, that's the fact. So let's have a very intellectual approach towards saving the environment, because while the message seems to tell us this, but actually the facts and figures tell us otherwise. So yeah, that's all from me.
Wow, we have to use tote bags 131 times. That's a lot of times, Muya. I don't even know if I use tote bags that much. I only use tote bags to bring my books and laptop and all to classes. So, wow, that's a lot of times to use tote bags. But like, it's okay. Muya said, there are other options, and we should always refuse to, use those plastic bags in the first place. But it's okay. You know what? Why don't we take another breather and also another break, and we'll be back to discuss the topic: is recycling worth it? Only on Peeps Chat by IIUM TV.
10% of children and adolescents have a clinically diagnosable mental problem, yet 70% of children and adolescents who experience mental health problems have not had appropriate interventions at a sufficiently early age. There are 424,000 children in Malaysia are dealing with mental health issues. Mental health always seems like an adult problem that we neglect our children also experience the same issues. The child's mental health is equally important as their physical health and deserve the same quality of support. At the end of the day, the key to a child's success is the positive involvement of the parents. Sit down and listen to your kids. Reach out to them and offer hugs. Most importantly, be present, not just giving out presents. Mental health is health. Together, we help our children. 10% of children and adolescents have a clinically diagnosable mental problem, yet 70% of children and adolescents who experience mental health problems have not had appropriate interventions at a sufficiently early age. There are 424,000 children in Malaysia are dealing with mental health issues. Mental health always seems like an adult problem that we neglect our children also experience the same issues. The child's mental health is equally important as their physical health and deserve the same quality of support. At the end of the day, the key to a child's success is the positive involvement of the parents. Sit down and listen to your kids. Reach out to them and offer hugs. Most importantly, be present, not just giving out presents. Mental health is health. Together, we help our children.
Happy Peeps, Healthy Chat. Welcome back to the second episode of this season's Peeps Chat. So if you guys didn't know yet, for tonight's topic, it's worth it, and we have to discuss whether worth it. So, and my next Muya. So, Muya, do the environment became better about the cleanliness and was implemented, and in your to sustain the environment.
As we've just went out of lockdown, I think with better I think it's important that lockdowns were implemented in major parts of the world. There were a very of countries that were down. One of it was China because they dealt with the COVID virus quite early and quite strictly. So lockdown, we had to stop a lot of activities, so rotation. So because I think there's a lot of viral videos when we were down showing that dolphins were returning to Venice, of animals in cities as well as their natural habitats, which are the forests. It's important to acknowledge that it's very vital for facts and figures as well. Look at one by the International Energy Agency. So that was we haven't dropped, and a lot of our aims for that. So humans are the main cause of. So we can has caused who are on the edge of even before the pandemic problems extrapolated during. So it's a very bad strategy to repeat that by all of us, which is the 5R practices, in which recycling also plays a big part. Like I said before, a lot of our pollution. So our perspective on this. So Allah tells us, take note of a hadith to explain to all of you the gist of it. There was a sahaba who approached the Prophet there taking your wudu. So is there even stage even in ibadah, which is ablution? Yes, there is. Even if you're taking the wastage. For current situation, where our overconsumption in environment and to our all using our intake, that nature plays a big bet in the near future.
Hopefully all of us can, just the government question for Muya. Do you have any advice for us on how to start, and especially in IIUM camp?
Questions like that, who's answering will always tell us what we can do. We'll know what they guys each and every in our daily lives, being a good care of nature. So start on that note. It's very important to have the knowledge. Plastic waste, it's affecting. So the seller is selling a fish to the bag, but the seller said, "Oh, it's actually a joke for how much plastic that we are our oceans and our rivers." So take note of knowledge of information like that. Centers there will be a lot of them as per area, just very efficient in terms of our recycling activities. So the second most important, aggregate your items, have specialized container. When you like something away, you know that, oh, this is recyclable, so I can just recyclable a specific container, even a use. So residential services of all the mahalas in just introduce an initiative which every Thursday there will be a lorry bus to ensure that recycling is accessible to everyone, and they'll pay you for the items that you have recycled. Yeah, I think that's all from me.
Wow, actually didn't know that. Every Thursday by RSD. Oh, all right. So everyone in Mahala, keep note, okay? You guys can get money by recycling. So do recycle, guys. Even all right. So you know what? I'll be asking my last question for Amira. Amira, also increase the awareness about recycling social media.
I think for club or talk like this, just to educate people and to spread awareness about recycling, environmental issues actually. We have climate change, deforestation, and all these things require attention for the public. And of course, responsibility lies on the shoulders of club or organization to educate people and to convey the message to the society through social media. Mind that you don't have a club or an environmentalist or an activist to speak about any environmental issues. As long as you still carbon yourself, the responsibility to spread awareness about any environmental issues. And what can you do to help spread awareness is probably by educating yourself, educate and start to educate people around yourself. Maybe environmental accounts, social media. There's a lot of environmental accounts in social media. Instagram, for example, Atmos, Future Earth, Earth Rights, and in Malaysia we have Climate, we have My Hutan, and I even created my own environmental account just to honest. That is called Planet Cheers. Maybe you can follow it. Type of account, you will be exposed to environmental issues. It's a fool or something that needs to be always repost or retweet it. They listen to you. And if you have thousands of followers, good use of your platform and post any issues that require them. Having a social media, I would say, is a great privilege. So please use your privilege to take an action because we need rage for thinking and ignorance about post something that is beneficial. If you cannot educating people, maybe you have to, the choice is yours. If you want change it, you feel obligated to help spreading awareness because we share this world together. Unless you believe in Elon Musk making Mars as another habitable planet, then it's fine. You can keep quiet about Earth. We belong here. This is our, we have to take care of it. And you have to
So you guys don't forget to follow. What was your
Planet Cheers 21.
Planet Cheers 21? Okay, guys. So follow her account and not just her account, other accounts, and try to spread more awareness on before we end the show, why don't you guys, give your last why you guys want to promote your social media or anything? Now's the chance. With Muya first. Do you have any for our audience out there?
All right, sure. So I think just give IIUM Eco Club a follow. Trying to reach our milestone of 1,000 followers this tenure. It truly help a lot in achieving that milestone. I think that's number one. I think number two, I'll just mention. Sometimes when we talk about the environment, it all seems a little bit too big and a little bit too late. But the important thing, as reflected in Islamic practices as well, there's a hadith in a practice by the Prophet, in an example where the Prophet was approached by a Sahaba who asked, then the Prophet stated that even though tomorrow is the day of Qiyamah, if you have a kurma seed with you, if you have a date seed with you, plant it today, even though you know that tomorrow is Qiyamah. So what it means that to always have hope, even though hope and the chances are very low, and and it seems that everything is going against you. So it's going to be that way in the environmental circle, because time is not always on our side. People are not supporting the cause. People are indifferent towards the damages that they do towards the environment. So if you feel that you don't have enough time, and you are not that spirited to go and advocate for the environment, just remember the hadith stated by the Prophet, and I think you'll be good from there. That's all from me.
Ah, all right. So thank you so much to both Muya and also Amira for, spending your precious times and to agree for, joining our humble show and sharing your thoughts on the worth of recycling tonight. Thank you guys so much. And you know what? Thank you to all the viewers out there for tuning in to tonight's episode of Peeps Chat. Before we end the show, don't forget to catch us live every Thursday at 9 p.m. on IIM TV's YouTube channel and also Facebook page. Last but not least, don't forget to follow IIM TV on our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and also LinkedIn. We'll see you again next week with a new topic and also new guests. Stay safe, abide by the SOPs. I'm Nikki, only on Happy Peeps, Healthy Chat. It's Peeps Chat by IIM TV. Assalamualaikum and good night, everyone. And good night to Amira and Muya. Bye.
Bye.